not an expert. Chris Eddy is a 30-year retired Air Force Brigadier General, former FBI intelligence manager. He happens to be running for Congress in my district, District 25. You could follow him on X at Eddy for Congress. That's EDDY, the number 4 Congress. General, good to talk to you. I appreciate the time. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me back.
The reason I wanted to speak with you, yes, you're running for Congress here in my district. I get a chance to vote for you. But as importantly, your entire military and law enforcement career was in the intelligence field. You teach national security and foreign policy at FIU. So for 17 days, just after sundown, not one or two, numerous drones flew around Norfolk, Virginia, not just the town or the beach, around Naval Air Station Norfolk, the world's largest naval port and the main base for Navy SEAL Team 6, among other things. Your initial reaction when you read this story about the masses of drones and the fact that the Pentagon, our military, seemingly, unable to do anything about it?
Yeah, I was surprised. It's a lot of those happened over Langley Air Force Base last year, and that's where I was stationed for a number of years, and we have sensitive military operations there. The fact that we couldn't perceive that this might happen in the future with everything going on with drone technology in the Middle East is a little concerning to me, that they couldn't foresee this and come up with some rational defenses ahead of time.
The thing that bothers me is, at least according to the reports, they said the military couldn't really do anything about them, couldn't shoot them down, for example, unless they were considered an imminent threat. Shouldn't the fact that they're, one, flying around and into restricted airspace, if I'm a member of the military, to me that should be considered an imminent threat and obviously a national security concern?
Yeah, it should be, but you have to consider, these things are flying over 100 miles an hour. It's at night. Very difficult to track and shoot down, and if you miss, those bullets in a populated area have to land somewhere. Mm-hmm. So it is a populated area. It's a potential danger to the public in trying to shoot those down. You're not in a war zone. There's also counter-UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle technology where you can jam the signals.
Right.
However, you can interrupt normal operations, people's Wi-Fi, base operations, regular FAA. There's a commercial aircraft nearby. So there's a lot of considerations in populated areas. We
put a man on the moon.
I know.
And returned him safely to Earth, 55 years ago?
I know.
We've got this X-37 top secret Air Force, Space Force spy plane that's doing who knows what for months and months and months at a time. We can't figure out where the signal to control these drones is coming from and triangulate on it to find out who's doing this?
That's the most concerning thing to me, is that if they're flying 17 days, that you're not able to follow them back to wherever they came from just with a helicopter or something. You can't fly a fighter jet because these things are only going 100 miles an hour.
Right.
And jets can't fly that slow. But how can you not track them to where they come from? What was most concerning to me, if it's true, one of the reports says that they were launched from a mothership,
right,
instead of from the ground. So that would be a highly sophisticated operation and not some backyard kid that's just trying to cause trouble, if that's true, that mothership theory.
And the concern is that this isn't the first time we've heard these reports. I mean, we've been hearing for months the whole UAP program, the new investigation, the new department actually launched into looking into these things. This has been going on not only around our military bases, but around military maneuvers that have been taking place out to sea for several years now. So it's something that we'd better be prepared for, and it doesn't seem, at least according to the report, that the Pentagon is.
Yeah, there's one that was flying, a Chinese individual was flying one over Norfolk Naval Station, got stuck in a tree. He got arrested for that, serving 6 months. He's claimed he was just a hobbyist, but they captured the UAV and they saw pictures on there. I highly doubt that it's a Chinese operation for a number of reasons. One, these things have lights on them. They're flying very loud. And there's very limited collection you can do at night that they can't already do from satellites or from other means they might already have. And it's very visible. And if it's a Chinese operation, they have to launch from somewhere.
Right.
That'd be hugely provocative for them to come and do an intel mission that brazen over a U.S. military installation there.
These drones, from what we're told, again, it's a swarm. It's not just one or two. They're not very small either. They're not the kind of thing you see, flying around your neighborhood. Are they too small for radar to pick up? I would imagine our radar is pretty sensitive to be able to see where these things kind of appear and then disappear to give us some sort of an idea where they're being launched from, no?
No, not if they're flying low.
Right.
If they're flying low, they're below traditional radar that's used for aircraft detection. and it gets lost in the ground clutter, especially flying nets low. They're not able to detect them. That's why you need physical eyes on them.
Right. A couple more minutes here with Chris Eddy. He is a 30-year retired Air Force Brigadier General, former FBI intelligence manager, happens to be running for Congress in District 25, my district. So I'll say again, I'm happy to get a chance to vote for you. What we've seen drones do, let's, for example, in Ukraine, the Ukrainians have been using them to great effect against the Russian military. Do you feel that we are prepared from a national security perspective when this is happening and it doesn't seem like we have defenses in place to protect ourselves, our military bases, especially the most sensitive ones, against it?
Right, certainly not. Overseas we might be because there's more technology we can use and freedom of the frequency wavelengths, and obviously with munitions. But in the homeland, certainly not, because of all the wavelength restrictions on frequencies and then the danger of shooting them down in public locations. I know Langley was looking to purchase nets to go up to try to protect the base. That's not going to do much good. They could just fly higher than the nets and then come in. And as we talked about before, even small grenades can do a huge amount of damage to hundreds of millions of dollars of aircraft, which we need, and we have in very limited supply. When I retired 7 years ago from the Air Force, we were trying to figure out how to tackle this. So it's surprising to me that 7 years later we haven't come up yet with anything that can prevent this in the homeland. If so, they would have prevented it at Langley.
Whether it is a foreign adversary, whether it's some sort of corporate entity trying to get some sort of information or whatever, what would they be able to get from these drones that they couldn't get, for example, just from satellite surveillance?
Yeah, not much, especially if they're flying them after dusk at night. If they had infrared cameras, they could see what heat signatures are on the base, but they can't get that much more information flying over there than they could from a normal satellite. That's kind of what tells me maybe it's not China's, unless China wants to poke the bear and say we can reach you anytime, anywhere, and that's certainly a possibility, but I'd like to see more proof of that.
As I mentioned, you're running for Congress, District 25, Debbie Wasserman Schultz district, this weird, bizarre, gerrymandered thing. But again, I get a chance to vote for you. One of the three pillars of your campaign is this very thing, national security. What kind of a concern? How would you address this if you do get a chance to serve in Congress?
You have to bring the Pentagon up to the hill and say, what are you doing about this? Why is it taking so long? Reprioritize some of your money that you're using for transitioning and pronoun training into actually defending our country. We need to prioritize our spending to protect the homeland, and this should be, issue number one after we've seen what's going on in Ukraine, Russia, Israel, and with Hezbollah. Hezbollah did a lot of damage to Israel just recently with their drone attacks. So what are we doing here to prevent that?
How's the campaign going?
It's going strong. We're getting great response from across the aisle. We're very enthusiastic, and I think people are sick of the way things are going and know we can't afford 4 more years of this, and that we really don't want career politicians. We want just regular people going up there, doing their job, and then coming home again, just like our founders intended.
If I remember, civility,
yes,
fiscal responsibility, and national security.
Exactly.
The 3 pillars of your campaign.
That's right, and we're hitting hard on all 3. We're getting great response on those. Inflation's the #1 issue in this country by far, and that's true down here along with property insurance. So they want somebody that can understand those struggles they're going through and be able to address them.
He's Chris Eddy, 30-year retired Air Force Brigadier General, former FBI intelligence manager. He's running for Congress in District 25. You can follow him on X. Go to his website is Eddy for Congress. That's EDDY, the number 4 Congress. Same as the website?
Yes.
All right. General, thank you for your service to our nation. Best of luck in the campaign.
Great. Always glad to be here.
Thank you. We'll talk again soon.